Welcome again to our program. It's really a new series, How to Control Your Negative Emotions. And this segment, we shall be talking about doubt. Everybody has self-doubt, and it's crippling, even killing. I want to explore that in every possible detail, and I have the opportunity, since we're doing this every night of the week now, here in Los Angeles at least, to take it easy and to develop the idea very slowly. The first few half-hour segments, I'm going to explore some theory. It's not theory to me, because it's a fact, but it'll be theory to you, and it'll be mind-blowing to you. It'll be shocking to you. It'll be very disturbing. There's some strange things about self-doubt, because your self-doubt can become a belief. For example, if you believe something, let's say you were Adam in the Garden of Eden. Let's make it simple, and God said to you, "Now don't eat of the fruit. Don't eat that. Don't ride your bicycle. We'll take a bicycle. Don't ride your bicycle today, Adam, because I don't want you to. I know more about danger and about the problems of life and the lurking hidden dangers everywhere than you do. So you just trust your father. Just don't ride the bicycle." So a little boy comes along and says, "Don't listen to your dad. Your dad's just testing you. He wants to see if you're a man." He makes a good argument. He's appealing to the concupiscence, that is the rebelliousness, the desire in little Adam, little son of God, to be his own person, his own God. But by the way, that's a belief that everybody feels deep down inside. We all want to be God. And for this reason, it's easy for someone to come along and to cause us to doubt what we know is right in our heart. Because we don't want to owe allegiance to anything greater than ourselves if we want to be that great one ourselves. We want to be above everything and beneath nothing. We don't want to be beneath common sense. We don't owe any duty to what is higher than ourselves. See, if we're going to be that ourselves, we can't be responsible to anything higher than ourselves. We cannot be a servant if we're going to be a king. See? So there's a little psychology, a little thought that goes along with the reasons perhaps why we doubt ourselves. See, because we have something greater in ourselves and we want to be the great. So along comes the little boy, and he says, "Don't listen to your dad. Let's go and have fun. Let's take our motorbikes and go and do our thing." Now, the moment you believe a person and you don't believe yourself, you don't believe what you know you should believe in, the moment you desert your first belief system, your first estate, you're actually believing into what's made you doubt. Is that too fast for you? You see? In other words, to believe somebody, you have to doubt yourself. So, this is our problem. If it's true that the human race came into existence because of self-doubt, it seems to me that we would all be born self-doubters. Because once little Adam doubted himself, what is the first thing he did? He made an excuse for it. Isn't that what you do when you are made to doubt and go against your own best interests? Don't you make excuses? In other words, you can't admit that you're wrong. In other words, you become wrong by doubting what is right and believing what you want to believe. But then you doubt that you are wrong. Now you're dependent on the same types of people to help you believe in yourself. You're afraid not to believe in yourself. Deep down inside us, we're all afraid of not believing in ourselves. We all want to believe in ourselves because deep down inside, right deep in our psyche, as far as you can go, all of our problems, every problem we ever had in our entire existence, stems from not believing in ourselves. Believing in what we were born to know, but being seduced by the little boy to go out riding on our motorcycles. Or, as it was in the Garden of Eden, to eat the forbidden fruit of knowing things for ourselves. But we don't know things for ourselves because we take on the mind of the betrayer. Am I going too fast? I said I go slow, but I haven't. Have I gone too fast for anybody? It's pacing it right. You see, once you doubt what you know is right in your heart, you can no longer live from that higher knowledge. Just like if the little boy was my son, little Adam goes off riding on his motorcycle, and he doesn't want to admit he's wrong. He cannot face his father. He has to say to his friends, he has to look to his friends for reassurance. Isn't that what we all do, look for reassurance? How many people look for reassurance that they're not wrong? Come on now. Everybody. The need for reassurance is something's gone wrong. Something gone wrong wants to feel right about itself. And there's so many different angles that I can take on this, and I hope that you'll interrupt me every now and then. Maybe you won't in the first half an hour or the second half an hour, but if you feel something moving and you say, oh, Roy Masters, I've got to ask you a question about this, maybe I can take it in a tangent. I can take it so many different ways. But once you become wrong, you defend the wrong. You do not have your own mind. Because if you doubt what you know is right, you have to believe in what's wrong. Or if you believe in what's wrong, you have to doubt what's right. Until you admit that you were wrong, that you should have listened to yourself, that you were selfish, and that you had a motive, a rebellious side of you, as I started off saying, that wanted to believe that you could be God or something, wanted to be something that you could never be. We all have that desire to be something we can never be. See, that separates us from what we know can be. We all have that. But until we admit what that is, it's pride. It's pride that doubts the truth and becomes wrong and inherits the mind of the seducer and seeks the reassurance of the seducer. Haven't you noticed that your children, once they get onto drugs, the morning they go out of the house, they're your kids. When they come home at night, they're somebody else's child, aren't they? And they defend their pusher. We all defend that which has corrupted us because we don't want to admit we're wrong. Once we become wrong, pride enters into it. A spirit of pride enters, and we will always deny that we're wrong, and some people will seek positive thinking. See, we sense that deep down inside us that the root of our problems is doubting ourselves. Isn't that right? Right down at the basis of our soul, in a way that we cannot express or ever talk about, and has never been spoken about in the course of human history the way perhaps you will hear it tonight. But deep down there, we recognize that the crack, the schism in our soul, our personality, everything that's ever gone wrong with our lives is because we have doubted ourselves or been made to doubt ourselves, either by fair means or foul. We'll come to that in a minute. You know what I mean by fair means or foul? You can be seduced by praise or someone who's going to push you down to build themselves up, who is threatened by your innocence and throws confusion into you. But deep down inside, whatever the reason, everything that ever goes wrong comes right rushing through that little hole, that little window. And nothing that you can ever do from that time on for the rest of your life will ever be right. It will always be based upon the influences of the corrupter. Who is your corrupter? Who is the person in your life that has made you doubt yourself? Did you make yourself doubt? Were you the original person in the Garden of Eden? And were you once right and became wrong? Do you ever remember being right? Or do you only remember doubting yourself, living with that, and being subject to the naughty little boys, the pressures of our environment, our society, who sort of stand there unholy in the place of the holy, pouring into us information and ideas and concepts and beliefs, and putting their will into us and making us think we don't know, that they know what's best for us. God, how we hate authority. How many people hate authority? You do? How many people love authority? Oh, good, I'm glad. Because you've got to be out of your mind to love authority. Because the kind of authorities that you could love are not here. They're from another planet. See, the bats that have got into the belfry, they're the ones that continue the legacy of your exploiting your fallen nature, making you doubt, and building into you their kingdom, willing through you their kingdom of hell on earth. Even in the United States of America, we've pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps. But look at it, wall-to-wall mayhem, wall-to-wall insanity. See, people seem not to be moving from the right spirit. Government, officials, parents, teachers. Well, what are they doing to us all the time? Making us doubt ourselves, winning through intimidation, winning through seduction, making people feel good when they're not good. When you seek love, what is love? It's only just the reassurance that you're not wrong. When you find someone that loves you the way you are, it takes away all self-doubt. But you've got to doubt yourself. My job tonight is to make you doubt yourself. Because you see, you keep trying to seek reassurances that you're not wrong. Because you think, deep down inside, you have the fear of doubting yourself. Because the most terrible tragedy in your life has come from doubting yourself. And if you should ever doubt yourself again, it would be another tragedy, so you feel. Who understands me, please? You do, don't you? You see? Am I talking a language? But who has ever spoken to you in these terms? The greatest tragedy in your life now, you think, is doubting yourself. So you try to believe in yourself. You try to get others to believe in yourself. To believe in you. You enslave yourself to them in order to get them to believe in you. You believe in something that believes in you. God, that's another mess. When the real truth of the matter is that nothing that you can do on the face of this earth, every trick that you can pull, every maneuver, every love, every positive thinking book, every religious verse and chapter, designed to buoy up the spirits and take away doubt, to save you from self-doubt, is only saving you from the truth. Positive thinking is positively wrong. It's a big fat lie. You see, you get caught up in it and you think you're wonderful. Everybody else can see you're not wonderful, except the ones who want to take advantage of you. Right? They'll help you to see you that way, you see. And that way you can't see them getting into your pocket and getting into your life and getting into other places unmentionable. See? So my job, as I said this evening, is to get you to see that original crack, that schism in your psyche, your soul. And I want you to be absolutely doubtful. I want you to doubt that you're right. I want you to doubt that you can ever be right by trying to be right. I want you to look at your love and your need for love and for reassurance as a bunch of trash. That it has something to do with ego entering into you from some distant past, some ancient trauma. And you don't remember ever standing there making a choice whether to believe God or doubt God and to be your own person and to be what you want to be through the help of all the positive thinking twerps in the world. See? And all the lying lovers. Because everybody that loves you the way you are is only making you doubt the truth even more and bringing you to a greater doubtful. Because don't you see that you are repeating the original sin over and over again? You do what's wrong because you're seduced. You were born under the influence. You're born doubting yourself, but not wanting to doubt yourself, but wanting to believe in yourself. But never mind whatever happens, even if you find someone who believes in you, they're really reassuring that wrong is not wrong, but wrong is right. And you're becoming addicted to that love. And then you start doing things for them to hold on to that love. And what are those things? Are they right things or wrong things? They've got to be wrong things because wrong things will serve them. Right things won't serve them if they're that kind of person. They're selfish, willful people. They are going to love you and help you not doubt yourself and make you addicted to that love and make you feel good about yourself, as long as you do what they want. And then you can't say no to them. You see why the kids they got a campaign going on for our kids to say no to drugs? Just say no. What a bunch of jerks. They can't say no. They're addicted to love. Because they're not confident. They're not themselves. They're insecure. Their whole sense of existence and self comes from the approval of others, to which they're enslaved for that approval. You get that approval, and what do? You have to do something wrong for it. You have to go along with the crowd. Oh, then they'll say you're groovy, man, groovy. And you're not groovy, you're worse than you ever were before. And then comes the drugs. Well, after a while, love is not a big enough drug. Then you need the drug to anesthetize your conscience, to reassure you that you are God or that you're something which you're not. And everything that makes you think that you're a something makes you a bigger nothing. And this nothing doesn't want to see that it's a nothing. It doesn't want to doubt that itself again. And therefore it gravitates to the lies, to the reassuring lie. It gravitates to the seducer. We're always drawn to the things which are worse for us, thinking that it's best for us. And it can never be any other way, so long as you're not willing to face the truth that you're a naughty boy and you're a naughty girl, that you've inherited death as part of life, and death through sin, and sin disobedience. Doubting what's right to be the right. See? And then doubting that you are. When you doubted what's right to become wrong, you doubt that you are wrong. It's endless. What is an excuse? Tell me what an excuse is. It's a denial. Thank you very much. Whispering in the crowd, but it's denial. What is drinking? Denial. What is smoking pot? Denial. And you see, once you become a denier and become a very guilty person who doesn't think he's guilty at all, what is the biggest threat to a guilty person? Truth. And the innocent. The innocent must be made to doubt themselves. So your mother and father were as guilty as hell. Yes. You see, when they loved each other, they took each other's self-doubt away. Adam's wrong. Adam listened to his wife, his woman. He became wrong. And then he depended on his woman to feel good about himself. So her life, her miserable lot was to make him happy. To make him feel like he's a man when he's really a monkey. See, and he doesn't want to, she made a monkey out of him, and this monkey wants to believe it's a man, and it isn't. You see, I fry up the bacon and put it in the pan. I never let you forget that you're a man. What was that commercial? Do you remember that commercial? She's the working woman, the mother woman, and the whore and the wife, and all rolled in one. A man's existence revolves around the feminine spirit. We're going to discuss this. And so does a woman. When she finds herself being married to a man, it's only because it's the man in her being seduced by the feminine spirit of her husband. She's married her mother. But we've had programs on that, have we? I don't want to go into that tangent. I'm getting to the nitty-gritty of all your troubles. I'm trying to say, in this first segment, in the simplest possible terms, actually I should have come to this on the 5th program. We'll come back to it on the 5th program and re-explore it. Because the questions that you were sure to ask me will make me say, well, remember what I said when I opened the program about self-doubt and admitting that you're wrong and being sorry? That's what I'm coming to now, being sorry. You're going to have to realize that this crack, schism in your personality is kept in place. A distance between you and reality. The new life, the rebirth experience, has to do with your denying. And denying has something to do with fantasies, because when people in their tortured brains, in their inferiority and guilt, imagine themselves being worshipped and loved is standing on the steps and thinking of the Pope, or catching hand grenades in mid-airs, or and everybody loving them and applauding them. You see, in our fantasy, we imagine that we are okay. We have a love object that will never disappoint us. It will always accept us the way we are. Even there, it's dangerous. So we've got to realize, not because Roy Masters says so. Roy Masters, is, as far as you're concerned, is just a bag of wind. And I'm a foghorn, warning you, of the impending rocks, disaster, that has an intelligible sound. You don't need elaborate psychotherapy. Those suckers don't know either what's wrong with the human race. You are getting better just listening to me right now, because there is an apex from which all problems spring. You've loss of your humanity. The loss of your humanity because of the loss of your faith in yourself. And then the springing up of the wrong faith in yourself, in the wrong self. There's a wrong self that springs up. And it twists this meaning of doubt as to have faith in yourself by all the wrong methods and by all the wrong people, places, and things. The misuse of objects. Because somehow you feel that you must have faith in yourself. I mean, if someone convinces you that you're a jerk and that you're stupid, you spend your whole life trying to prove to yourself and to that person that you're not stupid. Now, how stupid can you get? See? Then after a while, when you spend your whole life trying to prove to a person they're stupid, and if maybe they'll reject you, you keep trying harder and harder to prove to them that you're not stupid. And let's suppose you make a lot of money, drive in with your Rolls Royce, and you see, I'm not stupid. I'm not inferior. And the sheer weight of evidence makes them believe that you're not stupid. So all you wanted to hear is you're not stupid. How stupid can you get? You're not stupid because they say that you're not stupid. You're not any smarter because they said it. You're still stupid. You're stupid for believing that you're not stupid. You're stupid for wasting your life to prove to that person, or to prove to yourself, or to make that person. You don't know what your life could have been all about, and you feel the pain of it. You'll feel a very hollow victory if you could ever get them to eat crow. Very hollow. Suddenly, when you come to the end of your journey, you're going to feel a greater pain than you ever felt before. You're going to feel more stupid than you've ever felt in your life before. Who's felt that before? Good for you. Glad you see it. The secret is, had you not reacted, have you not been responded, now you listen carefully how I'm saying this. Have you not responded to the intimidation or the temptation? Temptation comes in two forms: seduction, subtle, seductive, appealing to ego, to the rebellious side of man, or which is the king side of man. The ego has two sides, king and judge. You got that? So you can appeal to that side, or to the judge side, because you can still be a king by being a judge. Sometimes you're king and judge, and sometimes you're just king. The positive thinkers with their glasses, rose-colored glasses on. And then other people are kings just by being judges all the time, looking down their nose at everybody, looking for something to hate. Right? Addicted to that, because you have to judge what's wrong so you don't have to see what's you're wrong. The standard that you've left behind to judge. You have to always judge somebody else so you won't feel the judgment on yourself. See? You get high on judging. The king side. So you see, if you had not have responded to temptation, there's the word again, temptation, seductive by two means, love and hate. Tempts. It appeals to that part of it. Had you not responded and been separated from the ground of your original being, you would never have become stupid. So you call me stupid. Roy Masters is stupid. He's an idiot. Boy, what a joke. I hear that all the time. It just goes through one ear and comes out the other because there's nothing in the way to stop it. But there's no ego to feel it. See, I modify it just a little bit. The pride is disappearing. I'm not saying, trouble with people with they won't admit they have faults. I would admit my faults if I had any. You know what I mean? So, but you got to. That's basically the truth. They won't admit they got faults. And you're going to have to admit what the fault is, but we have to go to the basic fault. And that is responding to the temptation and becoming separated from the ground of true intelligence. And taking on the mind of the other person, either through responding with love, praise, or hate, judgment. See, and taking the mind of the tempter into yourself. And from that point onwards, you have lost yourself, your center of who you are. And you desperately try to be right, rather than admitting you're wrong for hating or wrong for being seduced. Someone found your weakness and appealed to it, right? There are always people out there that can do that. Looking for that little chink in your, look at that weakness. And that weakness is pridefulness, that little rebellious spirit, the part of you that's wrong, that doesn't want to admit it's wrong. That can be seduced by love. See? Or if you hate your father, someone will support your hate, your rebellion against your father or your country or anything else. You take on the mind of that person and you slowly disintegrate. Now, in our next session, we're going to take this idea further. Now, the next session is within minutes from now for us, but for the audience, it's going to be tomorrow night. And the night after that, we're going to continue on the subject of overcoming self-doubt. But first of all, we have to understand what it's all about, what we are overcoming, what it is, what the problem is. Thank you very much for listening and supporting our broadcast, because supporting this broadcast will keep me from doubting myself. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome once again to our program, How to Control Your Negative Emotions. And we're talking about conquering self-doubt, very important subject. And one segment has already been wasted on this subject. We're coming to our second part, and we've been discussing up to now the factor is that when we doubt ourselves, when we respond to any kind of temptation like pressure, cruelty, someone appealing to our ego, we are separated by that response from the ground of our original belief system, and we buy into the belief system of another. Literally, the mind of another person gets inside us. Now, if we were created by God to listen to his laws written out in our mind or heart, and I believe we were, and I believe the reason why the world is in such a mess is we listen to everybody else except ourselves. And the self that I mean is in higher case, uppercase. It's a self that we've forgotten. See, it's a self that we've made a dream. And we're listening to this a self that we're trying to make a reality. We're trying to make a wrong right. And we're trying to make the truth in our hearts that's persecuting us, and as a conscience, we're denying that. We drink, we smoke, we associate with people, the wrong kind, who reassure us that wrong is right. And that's basically the problem that all of us have. Not listening to what we know is right, but listening to everything else that makes us feel good. The spirit of some original seduction, some distant trauma. And as I said before, it comes through the failing of every man. It seems to me, and I don't want to go into the man-woman relationship too much, although it does encompass it quite a lot, because it transfers from family to family, that if there was an original sin, original place where man fell from this mind of God and took on the identity and the mind of the seductive spirit and separated us from true intelligence and gave us an artificial intelligence called intellect, and this craving for reassurance from the seducer. You'd see that relationship between man and woman. Man, woman being having the seductive spirit, the guile that understands the weakness for man's need for reassurance, that he's not a monkey. She made a monkey out of him. But man feels awkward. He feels fleshly. He feels powerless. He feels wrong. And strangely, he's attracted to the woman the very kind of woman that made him wrong in the first place. Mama, light my fire. Make me feel good. See, and that's the very kind of spirit that did him in. And drug addicts, the same with drug addicts, with drug pushers. That's why the drug pushers have a hold on the minds of your children. They know that once they can make them do something wrong and cross from, West Germany into East Germany, they've got them. See, they're into their mind and into their hearts. And they're loyal to that spirit for the sake of the reassurances that they need. Because once you become wrong, you will defend that position. The homosexuals, the drunks, the alcoholics. No one likes to be wrong. The pride of life is strong. And we are in conflict with God, reality, or conscience. And all the people of the world, all the manipulators and tyrants understand this phenomenon. Make you wrong. If they can make you wrong, if they can teach you to be wrong and do something wrong and tease you out of your center, out of your tree, if they can do that, you will belong to them. And you will become dependent on their reassurances. You'll become dependent on their love. And their love will make you worse, like Hitler's love made the Germans worse. Ayatollah's love makes the Iranian fanatics crazier than ever. It dehumanizes you more, and when it dehumanizes you more, it reassures you that the wrongs you've been made to do by that will that is in you, it reassures you that wrong is not wrong. It helps you deny the truth that could set you free. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The truth is, you're all wrong. And you see, everybody's trying to be right through being educated, lording it over others, pulling rank, being ministers, doctors, lawyers. Everybody's knocking everybody down, building themselves up. Everybody's making everybody doubt themselves. And now remember, a good and lawful, loving wife must make a man doubt himself. She's not a good whore unless she can make him doubt himself. It's very exciting because men feel antsy. They feel insecure. Wrong men that are separated from their creator, see, have the mind of a woman. See, and the fallen nature cries out to that which has felled it, seduced it. Love me, tell me I'm okay. Like the little boy who was seduced to ride a bicycle when his father told him not to. When he becomes wrong, he can't face his father. The only way he can enjoy favor with his father when he's fallen out of favor is to take a deep breath, feel the guilt, go back home, and as he approaches the door, he feels like his father's going to spit in his eye. And he feels this tremendous remorse and guilt and pain, and he knocks on the door and says, take a big swallow, said, Daddy, I'm wrong. I should have listened to you. Look at all the trouble I'm in. And I realized it, and the more I sought for my friends to tell me I was all right, so I could forget you. See? This is what we're all doing. The more I sought my friends' assurances, the more I forgot you, and the more I thought I was all right, but the more I became a slave of my friends. And I found I had to do what they wanted to do, and everything they wanted me to do was wrong. Because they were closer to hell than I was. The blind leading the blind. I had their mind, and they didn't have my best interest at heart. And I know when you told me not to ride the bicycle or to take the forbidden fruit, I know you knew more than I did. I couldn't see what I was getting into, but you knew what I was getting into. I know now because I'm into it, and I've experienced the horror and the length and depth and breadth of it. What you were trying to save me from, but I couldn't see it. I was too blind. And all it took was me to obey you and to trust you, and I didn't. I thought I could be God by eating the forbidden fruit. And the seducer understood that and bade me eat it. And when I did, I made excuses. And you sought me, and I was in the garden. And I was hiding because I was naked. And you asked me, who told you you were naked? See, I was ashamed. I became a sexual being. I'd fallen. I become a sensual person. Now this sensual person seeks the very person who made it sensual, the woman, to reassure that the sensual animal beast is really man. And this is the basis of human love. This is what makes men turn into animals. The love of a woman. Because the love of a woman is almost like the love of a god. for its fallen creature. It keeps saving it and raising it up. It keeps saving it from salvation. And we keep believing, the man keeps believing that the wrong is right, and that that the monkey is a man, while she's making a monkey out of him. He's blinded to the truth, because her love helps him reject reality, to be that reality. He's becoming a dog while he thinks he's a God. And this dog thinks he's a God so long as he has someone's love. Gentlemen, am I right or wrong? See, love is the love you need helps you doubt yourself. Well, to believe in yourself, but to doubt the truth. And that same love, I'm not saying men shouldn't love each other. I'm not saying that. But I know that my words will be misconstrued or misconstrued. See? And I know that, and there's no way in the world, you see, because people who want to hear that, people who are very bad people, they're just going to take what you say and twist it in their own mind, so they don't want to hear the truth. They're going to say, I hate women. They're going to say, I'm saying that you shouldn't have sex. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a right way and a wrong way, and I'm exploring the wrong way. You'll say, well, what is the right way? Well, give me a chance. What is the right way to love? What is the right... First of all, you have to realize what the wrong way is. Because no one needs to teach you what the right way is. Why would... Canaries don't have to be taught how to sing. They don't need a school teacher to teach them how to warble. They don't have a voice master. They sing beautifully just the first time they try. And they can never do any better than what they do. What we have to look at is what the fault. We have to look at what lies at the root of our troubles. And that is pride, going before the fall. And this haughty spirit keeps on finding every way it can to deny that it's wrong. This whole process of denial, thinking that you're wonderful persons. And you may be married, and be married to a person who thinks you're wonderful. And that person has a job. That insecure person has a job with you so long as they go along with you, and you can reward them with flowers, and you can have this sort of silly little romantic thing going, but you're dying. So you're dying because a part of you needs that kind of lying love. And you're caught up in the lying love, and as you're caught up in lying love, you have the illusion that you're okay when you're not. And as long as this exists, you cannot draw a sane breath. You inherit death as part of life. And see, only perfection transcends death and mortality. It is imperfection that makes us mortal. And the imperfection is pride as it enters with its denial process. The denial of truth, to go on being prideful, thinking that we're right when we're wrong, that we can have our own destiny, we can really be somebody, even cure ourselves, heal ourselves, be great artists, great lovers. We've got to be a great something in somebody's eyes. We're just deceiving them, and we're deceiving ourselves. We even deceive our children. As I started to say before, that once we become as guilty as hell in the process of denying the truth, and with all the wrong friends and all the wrong religions, and our music and our cultural reassurances. See, all of these are anesthetics to reality. And slowly they choke the life out of us and we die. We become more and more mortal, more enemies of reality, even the reality of our own children. And we'll curse them for their little innocent eyes looking at us. They're not exactly innocent, but they're not as guilty as we are, because they're born in sin. What does that mean? Well, our parents made us doubt ourselves. We had a parent that demanded that we look up to them, even though they weren't worth looking up to. We may have looked down on them, but we were tempted by the wickedness in to become prideful. Remember I said love, hate? When there are two forms of temptation. One, someone loves you and thinks you're wonderful. The more rotten you become, the more you want other people to think you're wonderful, and more addicted you are to that love, to that church, to that drug, to your friends, to your drink. and to your barroom buddies, scumbag barroom. See, I got to say that. I can get everybody angry. I want to get you to get upset that I can get inside you, don't you see? So don't be upset if you're watching this program, because upset is how I get to you. How I give you a case of psychic indigestion. Listen, my friends out there, it's one thing to hate somebody when they're wrong. Have you ever hated someone when they're right? How many people ever hated me for being right? What happened to you? You know what? It gave you a terrible agony, didn't it? Somehow I got in there, and the very thing you were trying to forget by hating me amplified itself inside you. And finally you said, my God, this man's right, I'm wrong. And then you felt better. Is that right? Jesus says, they hated me without a cause. There was the only man that ever lived that anybody could hate. And they do hate you without a cause. The world out there will hate you for a reason. They'll hate you because you're right. They'll hate you because you're innocent. They hate you because you destroy the illusions they have because you're not as deceived as they are. There's still a light shining in you, and you're still looking at them as weird. See? Mom is weird, Dad is weird, the preacher's weird, and and all these people, the preacher is weird, the rabbi's weird, the teacher's weird, the system's weird, the government's weird. They all do weird things to confuse you, keep you off balance. Because they can't, don't you see, your parents have become enemies of reality? Remember I said they defend, and they'll attack you. The very light that you have in you, the very light you had when you were born, was a threat to the dark side. They will react to you in exactly the same way as your conscience, except when you were little, you couldn't handle it. You can attack Roy Masters. God help you. May Lord have mercy on your soul. You try it. That's why I say on my radio programs, here's David, where's your Goliath? Where's your experts? They don't step forward in 27 years. Have you noticed it? I do it every week regularly. Because the spirit, that kind of spirit out there, it loves the innocence and the naivete of the innocent. See? The ones that are not able, fully informed of how to deal with the likes of them. But I am fully informed how to deal with the likes of them, and the more you try to make me doubt myself, the more I make you doubt yourself. See, the secret is I don't respond. I know what you're up to. I know that the only way you can have confidence, the wicked parent, or the confounded parent, because not all parents are wicked, they're just confounded, but they're still under the system. They're bound to serve their God. And to have faith in themselves by knocking you down, raising yourselves up by knocking you down, believing in themselves, making you doubt yourself. That's how they get confidence. How a coward becomes a bully, because he becomes a bully because the only way he can believe in himself and raise himself up is to knock other people down by the same method that God knocked him down. So therefore, the people that have faith in themselves can only have faith in themselves when there's no truth to diminish that faith. See? So therefore, this is the reason why we have problems in the home. Wrong authority. If the spirit of the Garden of Eden a long time ago has come from generation to the failings of fathers, through the mothers, to the failings of fathers, and now the little children are born into the world with these ogres called parents. Mm-hmm. Am I saying something? Am I poking fun at apple pie and so Chevrolets? And that's so true. Anybody want to object right now or forever hold their peace? Right. Parents are crazy. And they inherit a legacy of insanity and driving you insane. And they won't be happy until you are doubting yourself and completely as insane as they are. You may become more insane than them and make them feel better. They try to rescue you. That's how criminals become hardened. See? They don't understand what they're doing. They'll confuse you. You watch a mother feeding a little child with a spoon, she grabs hold of the spoon and feeds it and won't let the child feed itself. And then the child wants to feed itself, but she doesn't let it feed itself, but then the child gets angry and then lets it feed itself. Or she waits for the child to cry for a glass of water. A glass of water is natural for a child, but she can't be bothered. That moment, the timing, just right. She wait for the child to get mad. And then for her to get angry and upset. And then she teaches the child to be upset to get a glass of water. See? Or she'll upset the child to eat and won't let the child eat because to satisfy its own natural instincts, but to satisfy the mother's desire to put her will into the child. Because that's how the first woman got into the first man, by making him eat something he shouldn't eat. See? And the mother becomes threatened because the child won't eat it. So this is how it begins in the early stage. Mothers confounding, parents confounding the sensibility of their children. And also of their husbands, because there's something in a woman that wants to dominate. It's not the woman, really. It's not her fault. Remember, we're talking about Adam and Eve both being victims. That a spirit operating through the woman in relationship to the man. That you understand that if you were an original Adam in the Garden of Eden, you needed something to support your rebellion, right? And that would be your friend that supports you in your rebellion against God. But once the rebellion took place, once you responded to the lie, once you responded to the appeal, you became an enemy of reality, and your woman would become the enemy, the supportive, your ally in your rebellion against reality, to help you feel that wrong is not wrong, but right. Now, do you expect that woman to be your friend or your enemy? I had a man one day, he says, I'm married, and I woke up one morning and my wife's a liar. I didn't know that. I said, but you married a liar. That's what you want? He said, no, I didn't want to lie. I said, you don't understand your ego nature. Men are unconsciously drawn to the kind of woman that will lie to them as well as lie with them. You understand that? And one day, you'll find that you may be able to rebel against God, but not the devil. And when you try to rebel against those who have supported you in your rebellion, helped you doubt yourself, and then loved you and helped you to believe in yourself, one day you'll wake up, if you have any reality left at all, you'll see that your helper is your betrayer, that your lover is your betrayer. So where you might have fallen in love, and we all fall in love because we have a state of ego that needs that love to reassure us that wrong is not wrong, that wrong is right. But that state, relationship, see, man being into woman, woman being into man, and man having the mind of the woman rather than the mind of God. See, he's exchanging his loyalties and his dependencies, and his nature is changing from sensible to sensual, from life to death, but death which looks like life because she lights his fire. Life through excitement, life through stimulation. Each lie stimulates. Lie is exciting. Try to sit still in a room. See how bored you get. What is boring is because you don't have an excitement to take you away from the reality, the wings of reality brushing too close for comfort. Because when you sit still in a room without the reassuring lie, you'll start thinking about calling up a friend. You start thinking of sex and fantasying if you can't have it in reality. You'll have your companion in your dreams if you can't have her in reality. Your lover is your betrayer. And even in your dreams, she'll betray you. She'll dehumanize you while pretending to humanize you. She'll wrong you and pretending to right you. And it's all because you have one problem. You can't admit you're wrong. And you'll find that everything that reassures you, drugs, sex, music, rock and roll, false religions, and they abound everywhere, even in the name of Christ. Not that Christ is wrong, mind you, that in the name of. Many coming in his name, leading many astray, sort of thing. Everything that makes you comfortable, everything that seems to be your ally, that takes away this feeling, that reassures you that you're okay. It lulls you to sleep, it anesthetizes your conscience, helps you feel like for a moment all's right with the world, that you're in control, is your enemy, is your betrayer. That's why marriages don't work. You married the betrayer. And you've created her, you've selected her, because the more wrong you become, the more of a liar your wife has to be, and the more of a liar your friends have to be. The stronger emotional effect you need to have on your spirit and your mind through your emotions. You need to be more excited, more high, to pull you away from realizing the truth, because you're afraid of self-doubt. Remember what we said before, we are afraid of doubting. The root of all human problems is, and we know it deep down in our soul, that once we have doubted ourselves and become wrong, we doubt that we are wrong. And the means, see, because we're trying to believe in ourselves now. We should have believed in ourselves in the first place. But you can never believe in yourself again until you say to your daddy, I'm wrong, Father. You come and knock at the door. Remember I said a little boy is separated from the rapport with his father, the grace of his father, by riding his bicycle when he is not supposed to. And he can never come back to his father until he admits he's wrong. And the only way he can avoid being wrong and forgetting his father is seeking the reassurances of his friends. And the road is paved to hell with a little help from your friends. Your friends are all liars. You haven't got any friends. You haven't got any friends. And I'm the friend, and I'm telling you the truth, and you think I want to throw rocks at me. A lot of people want to throw rocks at me, and I'm your friend. Because I tell you the truth. Because truth is painful. And if I was a little kid and if I was your son, you probably beat me up. Confuse me, confound me. Make me think I'm a fool. Make me feel like I'm an ugly duckling. An alien from another planet. The whole family would pounce on me. But I'm not a little kid. And you can't do this to me anymore. I'm sick and tired of it, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I want you to understand that the only thing that's wrong with you, and it can be changed, is for you to see what I'm saying in the light of reality. Come back to that thing. Yes, I've doubted myself. They've made me doubt myself. Usually by anger, by confusion, by cruelty. See? When somebody's angry with you, you naturally impart to you, through the sheer force of the energy of emotion, the idea in your little brain when you're small that you're wrong. And you're not wrong. They want to give you the idea that you're wrong. And anger strengthens the idea that you're wrong. And it makes you doubt yourself. And the more you doubt yourself, the more you become wrong. And so on. You doubt yourself and become wrong through anger. Anger makes you doubt yourself, and doubting yourself makes you angry that you did. It goes round and round in a circle until you die. You want to kill yourself. Well, that's the other part of the hour, and are you generating some questions now? Is it coming up? Anybody suffering from some of the things I'm talking about? We'll talk about that in the next segment. I'm thinking I've got a question and answer feeling coming on. Thank you very much, and please support our radio programs too, but our television programs, otherwise we won't make it. Thank you, and join us in our next video broadcast. Welcome once again to the program, How to Control Your Negative Emotions. And the subject matter, the continuing subject matter, is how to overcome self-doubt. I've been kind of negative up to this point because we're exploring what the problem is. And just to recap the last program, the last half-hour segment, I said, basically, well, this is where we ended there anyway, and I think we can begin here, that when you become upset, you doubt yourself. And that the intimidator who wants you to doubt yourself gets into your mind, and their mind becomes your mind, and their will becomes your will the moment you doubt yourself, because doubting yourself separates you from your own mind. Not your brain mind, your intellectual sausage, your massive sausage skin that you got in there passes for a brain. You know, a bunch of little computer lights that are going on and off. Whales and worms have got those. And they're not smart. What makes us smart, really, that's simply a capacity to remember facts and to implement them in word, thought, and deed. But what makes you really smart is the understanding which no animal can have. And the understanding coming from that which created everything in the universe, including yourself, to know him as God, but instead you want to know yourself as God. Therefore you don't want to understand when you become wrong. Because when you become wrong, you no longer are the child of God, but just the child of something that's taken you from that. And we've gone over this several times, that whole problem of doubting yourself is a pride thing. And pride, the nature of pride enters when you fall to doubt. Now, you are not Adam and Eve in the garden experiencing the original sin. You were born into an environment that is controlled by those forces, those intellectual forces, leaders, teachers, gurus, spiritual guides, priests, rabbis, I don't care who they are. Authority, big word, no wonder we hate them. Because they stand there as if they knew and guiding us to hell, while they're twice as ripe as for hell than they are themselves, the blind leaders and the blind. And we know there's something wrong with their teaching systems. We know there's something wrong with the advice of our parents. Even when they're right, they're wrong. You know, they have a wrong way of telling us, so we don't accept it. So we don't even believe their truth when they're telling us the truth. And it's all part of the game they play with their brain. And then we do something dumb and say, well, I told you, I tried to tell you. And you get upset. Even so, you get confused, because it does seem that they told you the right thing, but somehow the way they told it to you was pushy and before its time and not properly motivated. It wasn't strong enough. It was too strong. It didn't have a divine presence. It didn't have your best interest at heart. There was something weak there that wasn't strong enough to help you to stand on your own 2 feet. The advice wasn't strong enough it wasn't wise enough. It wasn't astute enough, sharp enough to bring you back to the pristine paradisiacal state of self-reliance, of being, subject to the Creator. Wasn't strong enough. You couldn't recognize their authority. So you recognize my authority. I'm going to be very careful about this. You recognize me. I have no degrees. I left school. Let me see. I'll take it a little further back. There was 4 in the class. In my school, I was 4th in the class. See, I blew that punchline. I was 4th in the class, but there was only 4 in the class. Ha ha. But the thing is, I'm not smart. I'm intelligent. Those people are intelligent, but not really smart. See? I'm talking about smarts which somehow is guided by an intuitive something or other which has no words, an inner knowing, out of which every human being is meant to be created. Living flesh, the Word made flesh. Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Where is the mouth of God? I haven't seen it around lately. See? It's not the Bible. That's not his mouth. It's a word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. It's the kingdom of heaven, and the God or the truth is within you, somewhere beyond time and space within you. And you have 2 minds. You have a spiritual mind, which is a consciousness which is a little piece of the chip off the old block. It's part of him, and only that part in you, your humanness, which makes you human and different from the animals, is that part in you is from him to know him and to recognize him and to do homage to him. See? That was created to know him, not to be him. See? That's the difference between you and the animal. The animal hasn't got this part of the mind called the soul. Some people think animals have souls. It's because they've somehow exchanged their natures with one another. they've given something of their self. They've identified with the animal. And they think, therefore, that because they've identified with the animal's got a soul. This little soul, which is a little piece of them into the animal, is looking back at them and worshipping them as God. See, people have relationship with animals like people should have with God. They projected a little bit of themselves into the animal. And then suddenly the animal is the child of light, and it wags its little tail, and it rubs its little wet nose, and it's dependent on this God, this man, this two-legged animal. And some people only know how to relate to these animals that they've created in their own image for the love and reassurance that they need, that they're some kind of God, and this little creature needs them, and they come down out of their heaven because this animal couldn't exist without the love of this God. They're always putting themselves into other people or putting themselves into animals. Maybe people resist having themselves put into, but animals may not know what's happening to them. The games, the little mental games that people are playing. But man is different from all other creatures, and he has this soul. And by this soul, as long as it's connected, it's centered, can know all things. It can know all truth. And the way that it knows, the way that thoughts and concepts and principles enter through eventually translates as a kingdom of heaven on earth. It's the living flesh. Jesus was one of the first creatures on earth the Word was made flesh, and it helped his relationship with his Creator, helped him transcend evil with the good that was there. He even transcended the carnal and the mortal, and he transcended even death. And I honestly believe, I don't mean to deviate and take you on a roller coaster ride, but I do believe that when you doubt what you know is right, when you're made to doubt what you know is right by the authority that you are born subject to, the one-upsmanship of the world, you're killed. A wrong spirit enters, and you're shut away from the flow of understanding, which is to become life and flesh, the Word made flesh. And there's a tremendous emptiness. See? A schism between you and real life, and you compensate. You tend to reach out to the thing that killed you, like a psychic jujitsu. Something appeals to your ego, and you fall away from life, and you feel like you're dying, and you feel like you're wrong, and you seek life, excitement, and the illusion that you're right through that excitement. And then through our whole life, because we're so tuned in emotionally to the world, so violated, so displaced, it's like, for example, let's say there was only two stations, and you have a switch, and you either switch to one station or the other. Can you see that if you switched the station from one to the other, you could only hear one station? You would not know, you could conceivably not know the other exists. And if the knob was frozen at that station, you could never hear that station. The only station you could hear is the one that you're tuned to. So you see, when man is seduced, when you're made to doubt yourself, you're caused to forget reality. You're caused to tune out and to fall away from the life that you could have known. And you're introduced to the life that you now know, which is a very guilty one. And there's a pride in you that doesn't want to know that this is the wrong station you're tuned into, and this is the life that leads to death. You seek more excitement, more lies, more reassurance, more love. We were speaking about that before. And we're totally emotionally caught up in a love-hate relationship with everything. Everything that loves us lies to us. Everything that makes us angry makes us doubt ourselves. The love makes us doubt ourselves, and anger makes us doubt ourselves. Have you ever tried to argue with an angry person? He gets angrier, so he doesn't. Try to tell the truth to an angry person, he gets angrier, so he doesn't have to face the truth. Then he becomes so angry and so violent, he tries to make you angry to separate you from the truth. Follow that? So ever since you were a small child, there is these forces working on you, trying to upset you, mostly upset you, to make you doubt yourself. Once they've succeeded in making you doubt yourself, then they give you approval. Have you ever seen your wife upset you and feel guilty? As you gentlemen in the audience, have you ever had a mother or a wife upset you and nag you, and you feel so guilty, and then you seek your mother's love? Have you ever been upset by your wife, had a good argument with your wife, and then you come home and you try to make up to her and get her love and get her approval, and she's willing to give it to you? And my wife will oppose me when I'm right and agree with me when I'm wrong. See, when she opposes me, hoping to upset me, to make me wrong. And when I become wrong, she'll love the wrong that she's implanted with her love. Total confusion. The hate makes me doubt myself. It separates me from the true self. It introduces me the self that's her. And the self that her cries out to her for love. And when I get it, I feel good about myself. But the whole process of her love is making me doubt. It's sort of saving me from my shame. Do you know what's wrong with a lot of people? Is that, do you know why prostitutes and whores and the people in the media, the movie stars, and not all of them are, but most of them are, I would say. Why they have so many love affairs, and they have AIDS, and they seem no shame about, they're glorifying the AIDS thing and how many different wives they have. One film star I know has 8 husbands already. And you watch all this intrigue and all these beautiful people doing these strange things. But in your own life, you also look for what I call unconflicted people. Unconflicted people. People without guilt. People without shame. I know I'm blowing the question and answer period here, but it's coming pretty strong here. People without shame, because, see, when you have the people who make you wrong, see, they are closer to hell than you are. And they share the mind of hell. And there's something about people when they're wrong, is that they are under compulsion to evangelize their wrong, to just put out the light of the innocent, even their own children. You see this campaign about AIDS in the media now. They're making all the people think they're homophobics. They're trying to make you think you're wrong for seeing that they're wrong. Dangerous, because the children today being assaulted by the media are causing to doubt what they know is right in their hearts. And the minute you start to doubt what you know is right in your heart, if you believe that you're wrong, you're wrong. That's how you become wrong, when you believe you're wrong when you're not wrong. That's why you've got to come back to, how do you get back to being right? You come back to being right by seeing that you're wrong for listening to everybody else but you, and for whatever selfish reasons are involved. The need for love to help you doubt that you're wrong. The need to hate, to judge, so that you can feel right by judging another's wrong. That's all a process of doubting yourself. See, you have to admit that you're wrong, and when you admit you're wrong, don't be afraid of admitting you're wrong. Remember what I said about how afraid we are to admit we're wrong. Once we become guilty, we don't want to admit we're guilty. Once we become wrong, we don't want to admit we're wrong, because we're afraid of doubting ourselves, because we sense that some doubt is the reason why we're wrong in the first place. We doubted what was right, we became wrong. But now, since we remember that doubting ourselves was wrong, and it caused all the trouble in our life, we're trying to believe in ourselves, but we're believing in the wrong person. And we're getting other people who are wrong persons to believe in us, see, to help us to doubt ourselves. And we also support other people who are wrong. We're very supportive to other people when they're wrong, because it makes them feel good about themselves, because they doubt themselves if you love them. They doubt that they're wrong. Do you understand that complicated thing? Don't be afraid to admit you're wrong, because the more you know that you're wrong, the more sure you are that you're wrong. that much more sure will you be when you know you're right. The beginning of being right is repentance. Seeing that you're wrong and not resenting knowing it. There's another way of saying it. Seeing where everything, the resentment of your parents, it's the hostility towards the bad example of your parents, the hate which separated you from the ground of your true being and caused the spirit of pride to enter, to take up residence, and to seek unconflicted people, to take away guilt. Now I'm coming back to the idea of unconflicted people, because they're out there in the world. Haven't you noticed that when you're wrong, you gravitate to all the wrong people? The more wrong you are, the lower you sink, and the more comfort you seek in those lower people. Why is this? It's because at the lowest bottom of the ladder, where hell is itself, there's an absolute opposite truth. It's like an antimatter and matter. You know, wrong is right and right is wrong. It's totally anti-human, anti-religious. It's hate where love is. And everything is backwards. And that once a person shares the mind of this spirit, to whatever degree, greater or smaller, the more rotten you are, the closer you are to hell, and the more power you have to do people in, the more ruthless you become, destroying people's innocence and confidence, and getting strength by domination and making people helpless to overcome your own helplessness, and making people guilty. Because if you can make people guilty, if you can make people, once you've made to do wrong, you are serving the wrong mind. And unconsciously you become a beast, the devil's pawn. If you pardon the word devil, people cringe. But you have a spirit operating through you that has no tolerance for the innocence of others, and you become an evangelist. You have an evangelic zeal. And you are rewarded. Haven't you ever seen people upset you and walk away satisfied? Make you doubt yourself and walk away? Have you ever seen that? That's the nature. The whole trick, the whole war that's going on is to make you doubt yourself, to make you wrong, and to make you dependent upon the systems, the reassurances of those who now control you through making you feel okay about yourself. Everything is wrong with your life. And you, when you become a father and mother, you won't have tolerance for your children. You'll be impatient and cruel and irritable and confusing. The classic confusing bitch. Female, right? Who had a mother like that? Look at her. Plenty. Why? She can't help herself. She is the traditional support of the male ego. The man marries a liar. He doesn't know he's a liar, she's a liar, but men who cannot tolerate truth will marry liars. Their friends are liars. Their drugs lie to them, their music lies to them. It anesthetizes their conscience. They feel secure with what's made them wrong, because what has made them wrong loves them when they are wrong. See? And the closer you get, the more wrong people become, and the more dependent they are for their righteousness of confounding the innocent, the more ruthless you have to be. In this world, people get more and more ruthless. To have their way, they have to confound and confuse and lie love and intimidate. But once you get your way, by destroying the innocence and breaking down, going to war with their light, before they had a chance to find it, really. The more you go to war with that and get your way and put your spirit into that person and make a slave, so you have a base of power, you become the base of power because they start needing your approval. You've got something to fight. You've got something to love that needs your love, your reassurance. The more you put your reassurance into them, the more they have your mind, the more you have your substance. But the more you have their substance, look what's happening. The more you upset a person and make them doubt themselves, the more they give up an energy, a life force. And you take away their strength. You take away their belief system. You take them away from under the command of their own common sense, their creator, and you bring them under your command. You get a sense of power. And the only way they can be anything at all, the only way they can believe in themselves, is to rely upon your love and your guidance. They have no guidance of their own. They have no self apart from you. And that's how you got to be. No, not. That's how you got to be what you are. You're subject to a dog-eat-dog system, see, a chain of command. And you don't like to look back at what's happened to you. You don't like to see that you're inferior, but you create something more inferior than yourself, and you become more and more ruthless. And of course, as you become more and more ruthless, you have more and more of the mind of that spirit. You get closer to that hell that was in your parents, and your parents' parents, and your parents' parents, all the way back to the original thing seen in the Garden of Eden. But you see, all of this that I'm speaking about, the kind of ruthlessness, the kind of shamelessness that you see out there as our leaders and teachers and social models, which become our role models, our mentors, what we look up to and take our identity from, all of this, these people are unconflicted people. Now I'll show you what happens, is that when you become wrong, somebody upsets you, it makes you doubt yourself, you become wrong. Now, you're in conflict with what you were. And here you have strange desires, strange feelings, guilts, and you don't know how to deal with them. There's only two ways you could be innocent. There's only two ways you can be innocent. One is to admit you're wrong, and to understand what the mistake is, and face up to it and say, I'm sorry, to yourself, to realize that you're wrong, and then that's all the spiritual father is looking for, become right again. But the other way is to deny that you are wrong. Remember how we said that? Now we come into the more carnal way of denying that we're wrong. Now these people who have no guilt at all, they're completely reversed beings. They're sociopaths and psychopaths. They have tremendous power, and they cannot tolerate innocence. They must conquer innocence to feel innocent themselves. Because if there's any innocent people left in the world, as a matter of fact, with me, I have a horrendous effect on the guilty. You can't believe the pain of suffering when there are some of them tuning into my program right now, and they just hear 5 words, and they're tearing their hair out. They're frothing at the mouth. We've got to get this guy off the TV. Now, you can't really say, I'm not saying anything really bad about, I'm just saying what's bad about them, and I'm exposing them. They can't take that because their smugness and their security and their strength and their power comes from having never met anyone that can oppose them. They can oppose everyone because everybody's got the same weakness, and there's nobody ever found the answer to it. So they can, and the more powerful they satiate themselves with many victories. There are many people living inside them, so to speak, like the devil. Every victory gives them more cunning wisdom, more intrigue, more cleverness, more treachery, more animal magnetism to suck you away from believing in yourself into believing in that person, so that if you believe in that person and that person then believes in you, you believe in yourself. So here is the unconflicted person. They can take their clothes off on the stage and they can defecate on the stage without any shame at all. They can even be proud that they have AIDS. That's my strength, they will say. And you'll see one AIDS person sympathizing, glorifying the other person with AIDS. See? But the madness of it is this, is that they're an unconflicted person. And you solve your conflict when you see that person is without guilt. You think, this is a marvelous, how is it they have no guilt? How is they feel no shame? It's very comforting to identify and immerse yourself into their body. Merge with their love. Identify, escape from your guilt into their love. Immerse yourself into their love. Surrender to their love. So their love becomes your love, and your belief in them becomes your belief in yourself, that you're not guilty. And therefore, what you're doing that, you have to submerge. You are indulging all your weaknesses in it. It's sex, it's drugs, it's all the perverse things. because you're joining with them, you're identifying with them, you're immersing into them, and through it, their mind becomes your mind. And their love for you becomes your love for yourself. You lose sight of guilt, but you're more guilty. And then you can't live without them. And there they are, more shameless than ever, compelling you to identify and immerse yourself in their healing love. Thank you, and join us in our next broadcast. And here we are again. I'm still dressed in the same uniform. Because, it's 5 nights for you, but it's 2.5 hours for us. So here I was talking about doubt, and we've explored it, about anger, and then when you're angry, you become doubtful. And even when you're loved, it's a form of doubting yourself, because if everybody loves you, then you're okay. But you're not okay, but it's the way of you thinking you're okay through people's love, you see. So therefore, love betrays. And then I was speaking about the different ways how we overcome self-doubt, trying to believe in ourselves, trying to get other people to believe in ourselves, all an exercise of futility. And then the most carnal way, the carnal way of overcoming self-doubt is through association with unconflicted people. People who don't feel any shame at all. Therefore, they seem like they're innocent. And when you are full of conflict with your strange nature, when you fall to sin and you start to doubt yourself, you feel thick. Don't you feel strange sensual desires appearing, and you feel self-conscious of that? And that's the basis of guilt, isn't it? The awakening of the animal, the sensual and the weird in the sensual, And the conflict and the shame that one feels connected with it has to be resolved in some way. And one way is to understand how we got that way and being sorry for it and coming back to self-belief through repentance. And the other way, if we don't know it, is to seek to submerge ourselves with the people who don't have any guilt. Therefore, if no people don't have guilt, no shame. There's only two types of creatures in the universe, 2 beings on this earth that have no shame: Jesus and the devil. See, he got no shame either, does he? See, so we tend to submerge ourselves in the people who have no shame and identify with their shamelessness as if shamelessness was guiltlessness. But it's not. It's another form of denial, and out of that springs stranger desires. And we feel the guilt, but they don't. So we immerse ourselves deeper into the whore, or whatever it is. See, the queer. And then we get queerer and queerer. But the queerer and queerer we get, the guiltier and guiltier we feel, but they don't feel guilt. They're closer to hell than we are. We're still closer to heaven. We still have something pursuing us, trying to bring us back home again. But there's no hope for some of those people, not all, some of those people out there who are totally without shame. And their whole existence is helping you take your shame away, helping you to lose yourself in them. Oh, let me hide myself in thee. Right? And it seems like when you immerse yourself, you're filled with their love and their sense of innocence. It's a release from guilt, but it's a denial. You're doubting that you're wrong and you start to feel right. But the morning after the night before, the right turns to wrong again. A bigger guilt. Oh, promised I'd talk about your questions. All right? Who has questions? This lady here, right?
When you're on a bouncing ball of doubt, you get started from childhood, from parents.
Yes.
They initiate the first bounce, and then you continue to go up and down, in between judgment, in between king, in between back and forth.
Not clear to me.
Okay.
You mean?
With your doubt, you're going through both phases, being angry and hating.
Okay, let's stop it right there. In other words, when you're angry with someone, you feel like you are superior to them in the fact that you judge them.
Right.
And that's the way you overcome the fact that something's wrong with you, by judging something wrong with others. That's the way you overcome your own, give faith to yourself.
Right.
By judging somebody else worse than yourself, you feel better about yourself.
Because
Is that what you mean in one sense?
Yeah, because you're reenacting what was done to you.
Right.
My mother did it to me, so therefore I had to become her in order to overcome the doubt she inflicted on me.
Right, and you relate to everybody else in the world the same way, don't you?
Right, but they're not the same as me. they might have had the opposite, the other form of doubt, seduction. They might have been done that way.
They may be the unconflicted type of person I was talking about.
Right.
In other words, some parents, some leaders and teachers have no conscience at all, and there's no way you can get to them. They'll totally block you and confuse you, no matter how much you try to get them to see what wrong they've done you, how they've confused you as a child. They'll even confuse you. They'll even tell you that you're an ungrateful person, all the good they've done to you.
Right.
Well, all the good they've done to you is only try to make you doubt yourself and help you make you believe that they're good people when they weren't.
Right.
It's all they make you serve their needs.
But the point is that once you start bouncing, if you don't have any direction, you can end up to where you doubt that you're doubting that you're doubting. I mean, you just go on endlessly.
Well, I don't. You go into a morbid tailspin.
Right. And then you need something to pull you out. And what I did was I found the advice that you were giving to pull me out. But then even after that, I started doubting that was the right way to go. And there was a way behind it.
Once the spirit of doubt gets into you, usually from childhood, the spirit of doubt was once on the outside, inside your parents, inside your corrupter, your violator, whoever it is. And once you react to that, and its force, its natural inherent power over you, causes you to respond, and so now it gets inside you and it raises itself up as a little extension of itself, also rebellious against reality, because when it gets inside you, you become an enemy of reality too, don't you?
Yes.
See? So now, once upon a time it was on the outside. Now the spirit of doubt, the doubter himself or herself, gets inside you, and it lives inside you and calls out from its home in there for the love of its source. In other words, it's a parent spirit that you understand by the parent spirit?
Yeah.
And you find that you, as a woman or a man, you find yourself relating to people. If you were angry with your mother, you'll find that every place you go, there are mothers and people just like your mother that stimulate the same hostility and make you doubt yourself.
Yes.
Make you angry. But anger, when you're angry, what does it do?
I deny it.
Well, anger reinforces what anger did.
Mm-hmm.
So it put a doubt nature in you, but also strengthens the doubt that you're wrong.
Oh yeah.
Who follows that? Is that with a very subtle twist of language?
Uh-huh.
Did you miss it? Did anybody miss it? See,
strengthens the doubt that you're wrong.
Yes, because if you say you're confused by your mother, let's say you're a man confused by your mother. When you were a little kid, you knew what right and wrong was. We all kind of know that when we come into the world, and we need a parent to love us, to confirm that right is right. But little do we know that we're coming into the world with parents who are confused by their parents, who are confused by their parents. So therefore, instead of getting that assurance that right is right, they can't stand that innocence, and they start to confuse us. They can't help it, and they upset us with their injustice. And injustice, the spirit of injustice, and the spirit of doubt, and the spirit of confusion for other people, through you, your own children, gets inside you. But that spirit of confusion and injustice, that spirit of doubt, is a belief system. In other words, it got inside through temptation. See? In other words, your parents represented, instead of representing the spirit of truth and the spirit of love, that dimension of love and good, it represented another dimension, which is the opposite. So the injustice caused you to react with hate, especially hate.
Yeah.
Deep resentment and hatred. And somehow that hatred, if it's deep enough, affects your soul, and it separates you from God so that you can never again draw a sane breath. You can no longer live by the wind of the inner spirit that you were created. But now you draw the breath of the hate life. It has to be breathed. So in other words, you find yourself needing to be upset with your mother. And what upset does is that once you become angry and resentful, the spirit of the doubt, the life of doubt, gets inside you, and once it is established, it needs more of the kind of temptation and tease, resentment, confusion of your parent in order to exist as a confused and confusing person. You see, because you see, it's what created it needs now to sustain it. So it has to be upset in order to exist, and not to exist more, and to exist more. Well, existence depends upon an involvement with the traumatizing source, the parent, the confusing and parent spirit. Now, but so that reaction of resentment not only introduces the spirit of pride and doubt, but reinforces the spirit of pride and doubt. But the anger at the self, the caught upness, being caught up with it, being angry makes you feel alive, and it makes you feel right, and it fulfills you with it fills the emptiness of your spirit with another spirit. See? And at the same time, this anger, this involvement, emotional involvement with this reassuring source that's angering you, helps you to forget that there's something wrong with all this. Follow that?
Right. That's what it is.
It's a very, very difficult thing to explain, but you become addicted to hate.
And then I addict myself. I also give excuses for every single thing I do, totally denying.
Because the excuse then is the mist that rises. See, because you naturally, remember, the spirit of doubt inside your mother had no tolerance for your little bright nature. So she put that in her, that nature in you. When it gets inside you, you have the same kind of thought process. You hate your own self. You hate to realize the truth. You also become the same kind of confusing person to your own children.
My kids, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. You see, so you react to the truth on the inside, the same ways you do. Well, you won't take correction.
I never take correction.
You never take correction.
I'm hardly
and
ever.
anybody who tries to correct you is wrong.
Uh-huh.
And you have to confuse them.
Confusion.
See?
Yes.
And if you can confuse them, you feel better.
And I'm like that ball. I never stop bouncing. I just.
See, and your children, your children are now your victims.
Yeah.
They have the spirit of innocence, and now you have the spirit of your mother, and now your mother is dead. Long live the king, queen, right?
Yeah, she lives real strong.
See? Now all you have to do is realize that hating your mother has separated you from divine love. See, the enemy. This is the trick of the enemy. By hook, love, hooker, or by crooker, by hook or by crook, by false love, spoiling people and building their egos up and getting inside a person that way and making them come down for that love away from true love inside their souls. Follow that? A prideful thing that's dependent on praise and that sort of
What
thing.
I did to my two sons.
Right.
Played one against the other.
But by hook or by crook, by being cruel to you, the purpose of the enemy spirit inside your mother, that she's not aware of herself. Because remember, she's not aware anymore. We're all defeating awareness. Once you become a victim, your whole life is to defeat awareness, to anesthetize your conscience with trivia. Even trivia anesthetizes your conscience. Even foul language, being caught up in the smells and the foul language of the world. All kinds of rude jokes and excitements and to anesthetize your conscience. We don't want to know that any other truth exists except the way we are. We have to exist in the right way, and if conscience comes too close, the original spirit that our parents confounded in us, we instinctively react to it the way our parents did. We're the enemy of the truth that we have betrayed and fallen from. We're the enemy of our conscience, and we try to kill our conscience with drugs. Follow that? And we kill the conscience of our children too. See? Can you forgive your mother?
Yeah, I never thought of her constantly being away from the truth the way you said it tonight.
She didn't know. Look, there's two ways to look at your mother. She couldn't know because she was surrounded in the world that wouldn't let her know. See? She was surrounded by an environment that wouldn't let her know. that ridiculed her for even daring to think, to see the world as it is, and daring not to seek its acceptance, see? Or acting crazy for love. Sometimes we act crazy for love, don't we? Because we know we're going to get it when we act crazy. Because the crazy, mad thing in the world will love us when we're crazy. It gives us the most sympathy when we get AIDS. See what I mean? We'll be sick for love. We'll make a fool of ourselves for love. Because only that in the world will love us, and we need, that's the love we need, because we have no other existence apart from that kind of fulfillment. And we lose ourselves in that. But do you see that your parent has two problems? Either they didn't want to see, and they didn't want you to see, because they were completely in the grasp of the thing. And that's their choice. It wasn't your choice. You're here. You heard these words and you came down. You're crying in your soul. And one day you turn the radio on, and here I was, helping you to confirm, bring you back to the little child that you know, like Jesus says, unless you return as a little child. To the understanding you had when you were small, understanding that grown-ups are stupid. Experts are stupid. They don't know best. The day you were born, you knew more. The day you were born, you knew more than they did, because they already become corrupted and rotten and spoiled and crazy. And they wanted to spoil the beautiful thing. See, because they were jealous. They couldn't bear to see how rotten and smelly and stinky they were. And that's how they could avoid seeing it. Put out somebody else's lights. Follow that? So forgive her, for they know not what they do. Hear it now?
Yeah.
She either didn't know it or didn't want to know it. Either way, forgive, which means stop being upset with the memory.
Stop living it.
Do you see?
Because I feed off of it.
Do you know how you see a memory? For instance, if you hate your brother, and your brother comes in, see you. And your brother comes into the room, you don't see a brother.
Oh, no.
You see a bundle of tricks of all the things he's done to you every time he comes in, and you react to that. Who understands what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
What you're looking at is all the things he's done to you, represented by that body. And it stimulates your judgment of them to forget, see? And you're addicted because you're made of what he is. You're made of his temptation.
And
The temptation coming through him you're made of, and you have to react to it in order to exist. And also not to see how you exist. See that? See how that is?
Yeah, not to see beyond
You
what
react.
you see him.
That's right.
Don't go beyond it.
But now I'm asking you to see that the enemy operating through the misguided and the unconflicted, which are absolutely rotten and wicked, okay? Now the misguided, who's played the same role, but they don't mean to do it, but they don't know how to stop themselves. Could be your parent. But there's a spirit in there of injustice that wants you to be upset, to put into you the same spirit of doubt, and to be at war with reality, so that you'll seek their assurance and love to have any peace at all, because they won't ever give you the ways of real peace. Follow that? They'll hide those keys. And the key to this now is that, remember, all that's wrong with you, what's wrong with you today, this very second, has been wrong with you every day up to this second. Because every time you see a person like your mother, an authority, a teacher, a boss, even a husband who has a woman in him, sometimes you marry your mother, don't you? Because you can't get very far from the spirit that's corrupted you. You think you're escaping, but you marry it in another form, don't you?
I reinforced myself twice.
Okay. Because this thing's got to reinforce itself. It has to have the delusion of freedom and escape from this thing, but that thing is going to appear in another form and capture you somewhere else, because you're not aware of the games it plays, you see. Now, what I want you to do is to start to see your brother as a person, to look through the eyes of this moment, not through the eyes of yesterday. And you do that through the meditation by becoming objective. And next time your brother comes in, to watch the tendency to start to react to everything that he was and everything that he's done to you.
I can't do that. He
That's called forgiveness.
He overdosed and died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't do that.
Well, anyway, whatever it is,
I can.
your mother you can. And
She's
you'll break those little cues, those little buttons they can press, which you are addicted to. But if you keep on reassuring yourself this life through reaction and excitement,
I'm driving myself insane.
you're also becoming like your mother.
Oh, I am.
And you're spending the rest of your life becoming like your mother, denying truth like your mother, and pretty soon you are your mother and you start screwing up your own kids. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, we understand you're dealing with a spirit, not psychological forces.
All right.
So don't hate your mother, because the thing inside you wants you to hate her. The thing in her that destroyed her and almost destroyed you. But you're hep to it because there's the spirit of light in you and is putting a check to this. Wants you to hate your mother. Because when you can hate it, if it can tempt you and tease you and goad you and intimidate you to find that little weakness, that little called judgment, resentment and judgment, which resentment sustains, you will become separated from true love, from a true belief system, and you will share the mind of the violator. And the only person you could ever be after that is through relating to that person and looking for that person you can hate. There's got to be somebody in the world you'll have to hate more and more and more, because the only way you can evolve spiritually is to be more of the alien you've become.
I created
Not
a
of a
God.
and you call it, that's right. See that?
To
And it becomes
take
your
your
God.
place. Yeah.
And the wrong spirit becomes and the spirit of confusion becomes your spirit of truth. And any truth hurts you more. And if you have children, you want to confound them more. Do you understand all that? Okay, I'm sorry, I mean to take this so long. But you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, now we got some call. We don't know, can you reach that one over there? Okay. Okay.
Hi. As I was growing up, I don't know where I got the feeling. Perhaps it was from my family and from my school situation, but I grew up feeling worthless. I found one of the methods I used to build up my self-confidence was to become involved in music and dancing. I found that way I could get some sort of admiration, but I really could never get admiration from the world, no matter how much I tried. I became a people pleaser, and I never developed my own personality.
Of course not.
So, but
what are you going to do about it?
I
Now,
found
since you
I
heard
was-
my lecture.
I found I couldn't understand while I was trying to get happiness from music and dancing that I was becoming more emotionally unstable and more sensitized to the negative
Exactly.
part.
Exactly.
And I was trying to cover it over with the false positive of music and dancing. It's like putting paint over a dirty wall or something. I
Right,
just was
right.
not handling my problems correctly. I was
You've
just
been tracking with all the things I've been saying in that regard,
Yes.
right?
3 years ago, I took my music records out, put the garbage can out in the driveway, and I broke all my music records. The neighbors thought I was nuts, of course, but it was a relief in a way because I could have sold those records, but they were like drugs to me.
Yes, you
I
see,
had to destroy
what that's a declaration of independence. What was going
I
on the
felt better.
outside is really going on the inside too. Don't you see that?
I felt much better. I feel
course you
more
did.
stable. But the problem I'm having right now is that I have an aversion to what I was doing. I can no longer relate to that. I find myself having an aversion to what I had been doing in the past.
In other words,
So I'm
the pleasure of music has become negatively charged.
yes.
Yeah, well, it's a love-hate relationship with music. You're not cured of it yet.
No, it's like it was an addiction, like an alcoholic or.
Yes, but I think what has happened is that out of a great rage,
Yes, I could see what it was
you
destroying
haven't.
my mind.
Yes, but out of a great rage, you try to fight it.
Yes.
See, and you thought. I actually misread you for a moment because it could have been a declaration of independence.
Well, I'm learning now about it, but at the time I said I've had enough of this because it was destroying the way I was.
But anything that we're caught up with, we try to rebel against. You see, eventually, the things that soothe us and make us feel good when we don't deserve to feel good, eventually they betray us, and we wake up one morning and see the power that they have over our mind, how they've really diminished us in the guise of making us feel grand, right?
Right.
Now,
right.
when we see that reality, when that reality dawns on us that we're worse, not better, then two things can happen. A quiet realization or a great anger. Which one was yours?
Mine was an anger at the beginning, but I realized what I'd done now. But
You realized
I
the anger was wrong. Remember I said in the first part of the program that you can rebel against God, but not the devil. See, because once something has seduced you, and got inside you, and what is inside you cries out to more of it outside you to soothe it, and then more of it gets inside you, and pretty soon it's not, you don't have your own self anymore, you don't have your own mind anymore. See? You can't function in the way you were originally designed. But once that which is original still within you makes you aware that you are horribly enslaved, the only cure, the only way back is to realize you're a slave. And not try to free yourself from it. Not to be upset that you realize that you're helpless. You start to resent that you're helpless. And then you start to get mad at the object. Right? And when you get mad at the object, what happens? The other side of temptation clicks in. So that any time you're caught up with something and then you get mad at it, like say you smoke a cigarette, and then you smoke it, it soothes you and you feel good, and all of a sudden you discover you'll get cancer, or you're dying from it, and you want to quit, and you realize it has a hold on you, and you get mad at it to overcome it. What does it do? It will do one or two things. You might be able to free yourself from it, but you promptly become addicted to something else. Or it intensifies your need for it. See, in other words, hate makes you feel guilty, and it makes you need its love. And when you surrender yourself to its soothing love, you get into it, and it gets into you more, and you're more guilty. And how have you dealt with guilt? Escaping or being angry with it. But anger doesn't cure it. It only separates you from true love. Anger separates you from true love and makes you realize the need of the object's love more. It makes you, and women who want to control you more will make you angry and betray you, especially to make you angry, to make you separate you from real love and make you need her love more. Who understands that? Okay, well, we got one more half hour after this one, and I'm sorry, I must have spent a lot of time with this lady, more than I realized, but it was okay, I hope. Now, one more half an hour on the subject of self-doubt, which will be tomorrow night. And but for this evening, I want to say to the video audience, please support the program, and that's as much as you'll ever get out of me. And if you don't, well, it's Quaitness. So no special appeals. We want to educate you. Thank you for listening, and join us the next program. We're talking about self-doubt, and there are many angles to this. And in our last discussion group, which is the same one, and they're full of questions, and we're going to go to those questions in a moment. But just in case you weren't watching, I was saying that when you react to stress and pressure, and people who make you doubt yourself, that the spirit of doubt on the outside becomes the spirit of doubt on the inside, and it lurks in your undergrowth. And it talks to you from its new home in there. And this is what we're going to be speaking about, I think, for the rest of the evening. A voice talking to you inside, telling you to commit suicide, and that you're not worthy, and God won't save you, and to kill yourself. Anybody have those little weird things going on? And of course, it's obvious, even though it isn't obvious to the experts who make us doubt ourselves, that they have the solution, when we really do. See? Make us think they got it, when we really do. Another form of doubt. That they have the answers and we don't, which is another form of doubt. We really do. So forget the experts and believe in yourself. Forget authorities and believe in yourself. They never did know. Never did know. You've always known, but you've been made to doubt that. You've always been known what's best for you. If someone had loved you and kept you from all those aberrant forces, those invading forces, and just kept them away from you so that you grow like a flower, like a flower grows, and you hoe away the weeds. And eventually, when the flower gets big enough, it's already ahead of the weeds, and therefore the weeds can never choke it again. Like my kids, the weeds can't get to them. See? Because I hoed away the weeds. I kept away the doubter. Of course, my wife was the worst one, as most women are, I'm sorry to say. But anyway, that little voice gets inside you, and it could lead you for the rest of your life like a living presence. It talks to you with words. Now there's a lady over there that had questioned in the last portion of the program. Go ahead.
Yes, because of my bad experiences in the past, and especially with the way I related to exercise and dancing and music to build up my ego,
Because that's the way, that was the way you felt better before, and then you rebelled against it.
But I was becoming more unstable as a result. I found I tried to commit suicide twice, and right now, although I'm more stable after I've meditated, I still find that I cannot bring myself to exercise, even though I know I need to exercise.
But why? Because something
it's
talks
just
to
a
you.
bad experience in the past with
But-
it. I kind of, something inside me, there's a feeling like you don't deserve this. You should become just like your mother. My mother died from cancer. She was overweight and in poor health. And it's like I'm supposed to follow that path. Like, how dare you think you're different? That's the feeling that I get
Yeah, but
inside
don't
me.
you see you've inherited the same spirit as your mother,
Yeah.
with the same destiny to complete the same path as your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you start to become awake and aware, you can hear this little voice inside you, which is the voice of the garden. Remember I said in the Adam and Eve syndrome principle that when you fall, when Adam doubted himself, that he took on the mind and the destiny, death as life, it's part of life. That is what is inside you. You're looking at the spirit of doubt inside you. And you see, before you used to use dance and the arts and what was the other thing? Entertainment, music.
And dance.
Yes, but you used it. There's nothing wrong with dancing. There's nothing wrong with the arts.
You mean I can go back into it?
Listen, he that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all his ways. You could have that problem with sex. You could have that problem with drinking. I can have a glass. I don't drink, but I could have a glass of wine with my dinner without going, flipping and then wanting another one. It's only when you're guilty. Guilty person picks up a glass of wine and discovers some kind of exotic escape stimulation, and he feels better about himself. He finds his soul could slip into the aroused feelings, right? And when he does that, it becomes his innocence. And it's a form of denial then. Now, if you danced yourself into oblivion, like some of the people in the third world countries do, if you use anything as a means of escaping and awakening feelings of excitement and life and innocence and total escape and fantasy, and a world is a blur with a round of music.
That was me. That was me.
And, you sort of get high into it. So if you use that, then you can even get caught up with Roy Masters.
I
You can
used you to break away from the dancing, and I became caught up with you, and I just caught myself.
But listen, you could be caught up with something worse, because if you're caught up with me, at least I want to give you back to yourself. I'm talking to you about not being caught up with me now, and most things won't talk to you about being caught up with them. They'll encourage it.
Right.
Is that right?
That's right.
So it's okay. This transference of love is okay, because you may never escape, because you may be very stubborn about using me and seeing me eventually as the evil one and blaming me for the weaknesses you have, the troubles that will befall you by being caught up with me. But you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say to you is, just because you related to it wrong before does not mean to say that if you relate to it again, that you'll relate to it wrong again, as long as the guilt isn't there, so long as you've seen the truth of how you've related to it, right? There's no need to fear it. There's no need to hate it or love it anymore. You can just, even an alcoholic, once his guilt is gone, once he's repented of his pride, he finds immediately, because of his relationship to the original spirit, the pristine spirit, that all his relationships are modified. Sex, he that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all his ways. You'll find that you'll have a natural knowing of how much is enough and how much is not enough, when to stop, when not to start. See? You'll know it intuitively. It would be impossible for you to relate to it incorrectly. And if you start to, the new self, the new spirit, not the spirit of doubt, will stop you. You'll suddenly become disinterested. See? You'll play the piano, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes, that's enough. It used to be hours and hours and hours, right? Follow? And you play the piano, it's fun, and you probably do it better than you've ever done it before. And you probably don't do it for a week or two or a month, and you come back to, I think I play the piano, and you play it better than you've ever played it before. But this spirit inside you is trying to confuse you. See, talking about suicide, it plays game with you. When you don't know how to live right, see, the answer to not living right is not living at all. See, that gives you the other extremes. So therefore, when a person doesn't live right, and he becomes more guilty for living wrong, then the thing talks to you and says, see, you deserve better than this. Kill yourself. See? And that becomes a very appealing idea. Because the answer, the opposite to not living right, is not living at all. You get rid of pain.
The voice
See?
inside me.
And then you never won't make more mistakes if you're not alive, right?
The voice inside me said, "You're no good. The world doesn't need you."
Well, there's a little bit of truth in that. See, sometimes he talks to you and gives you a little bit of truth. You are no good, and the world doesn't need you. But that should bring you to the reality. It should be a humbling reality. Because you've always tried to be good. You've always tried to be right when you weren't right. And the more you try to be right, the more unright you became. See, and pretty soon you felt so guilty for being right that, well, you became, the more you try to be good, the more no good you came. And after all, you'll abandon yourself to your fate. It's the only honest thing to do, right? It's like abandoning yourself to truth. You keep denying the truth. You're denying the truth that you're no good by trying to find something that makes you feel good. But the more you felt good, the more no good you came. So after all, when you come to that conclusion, what else is there to do? It's accept the fact that you're no good and kill yourself. It's the only honest thing to do. Because if you go the other way, try to be good, you're only fooling yourself. And the pain is even greater because the more you try to make yourself feel good and feel better, the worse you become and the more no good you become. So it's just endless. So death, committing suicide is preferable. At least you won't get worse anymore. See? But you mustn't listen to those alternatives. Give up your resentments. Give up your hates. Hate always intensifies the need for love. Hate makes you feel bad. Hate makes you bad. And when you're bad, you feel guilty for being bad, and you want to feel good. But then also, those things you use to feel good is simply a process of denying truth again. Because you're not really good when you're feeling good. It's lying to you. And the lie is getting into you and growing. And when you stop feeling good, there's the truth again. That you're worse than you were before. See? It's an endless agony. And then the voice talks to you concerning this. You're no good. See? Why not end it all? Don't listen. Truth speaks to you without words. Do never listen to the voice in your head. Never listen to it. It's the liar. You can listen to it because you can't help it. It's in there. See? It never has the best interest at heart. Even when it speaks to you the truth, simply observe it. Don't neither agree with it. Listen to how I want you to deal with it. You must deal with it unemotionally, just like you should have dealt with it with your parents. When you saw the madness of your parents, the good guy, bad guy routine, right? When you saw that out there confusing you, the way to deal with it is to see what it is that's creating those two extremes, the good guy, bad guy, to the confusion, the hate and then the love. You should have dealt with that when you were young. If you could have been taught when you were young to look at your parents' confusion and madness, the good guy that isn't good, and not to be caught up with it, not to doubt yourself that they know and you don't know, and that they have the best interest that you have. Don't let them confuse. You just sit there quietly looking at them from a distance, no emotions at all, no reaction at all, knowing what you see, having full confidence that what you're seeing there is crazy. What you're seeing there is wrong, even if you have no intellectual reason for it. Trust that knowing. Never, never doubt it. You hear me? Never doubt it. And now when that voice is inside you, which is the spirit of your parents to whom you've reacted, angrily and resentfully, which is now alive in you, guiding you as if it was a presence, them in you, and them becoming you, and you becoming them for the next generation, right? Okay? When you see that, hear that voice, remember it was resentment toward it on the outside that brought it in on the inside. And it became your conscience and your guide. And whatever it told you to do, it confused you. Even if it read scripture, it would make you a false Christian. It would make you feel guilty for being Christian, guilty for feeling right. So then when you felt guilty for being right, you said, well, if being right makes me guilty, then if I be honest with myself and let my hair down and be a complete sinner, then I'll be more honest. I'll try that. And then you're guilty for that too. Then it appears, it speaks to you about God and religion again. It makes you need it again. Follow what I'm saying? Just look at it. And just watch it calmly, without resenting it, without dialoguing with it, without fighting it, without loving it, without agreeing with it or disagreeing it. Just like you're watching a TV set across the room. It's just you hear the sets on, but you're not interested in what it has to say. You can hear them talking. And when it sees that you're not responding, when you respond to it inside you, you're feeding yourself to it. You know that? You're giving it power over you inside. When it sees that you're not responding, then it will diminish and leave you alone. Yes?
Sure. You started out talking some about how, like, pressure is what it is that introduces you, like, to doubt. People, your parents or whoever, puts all this pressure on you, and then you start doubting what you always known was right. It works its way into you. But it's like, I can see where, like, the pressure on the outside gets inside of you. It's like, and then you're talking about hearing this voice. I don't so much, like, hear words or anything like that, but I see where, like, I feel the pressure, like, with my bad habits. It's like I feel the pressure towards them. And I can see where, like, yeah, it's the pressure that was outside me. Now it's inside me. And
But it seeks pressure. It seeks to be pressured.
And it pressures you once it's inside. Even though you have bad habits you'd like to give up, there's a pressure there towards them. And it's like, and if you try to fight it, it's like
the same thing as I was talking about. That's exactly the same thing.
Because if you try to fight it, it's as if you can't, like,
Listen carefully. Listen. I've got something very good to tell you, so that's why I'm shutting you up right now. Forgive me. Everything in this life is a pressure. It's the air pressure on the ocean that keeps the water liquid. Take the air pressure off and whoop, boils away. That's why you have to wear pressure suits when you go up in an airplane. You just boil away. And everything is a pressure. Everything reacts to everything else and is an effect of a cause. And it's the cause that the presence of the cause that keeps the effect being an effect. And the effect itself is a cause somewhere else and puts a pressure on it. Even, for instance, the fact that the impala has long legs and is sleek and is healthy is because the lion pressures it. And the danger makes it run, and its form is kept. Its strength and its form and it's kept alive through its function, running. The survival of the fastest runner. Pressure. Okay, take those pressures away and everything disappears with the cause. Now, once you become violated by pressure, you become addicted to pressure. You even pressure yourself. You even become your own parent, nagging you and telling you you're no good. Always trying to prove to yourself, which is the parent that's inside you, that you are good, which is no good also. See what I mean? And always missing the reality, always missing it, and feeling frustrated and not knowing why your life is off course. But here's a beautiful thing, and it's going to put a nice cap on our 5-part series. Once you have responded to temptations and pressures and doubted yourself, and now you become addicted to the pressures that have created you. Let us say recreated you in its image. You have its identity, but the only way you can exist is to respond to it. Is to marry it in some form, to relate to it in some form. You marry the wife, you marry the husband. You marry the father, you marry the person that violated you. And And you live in a response relationship to those people, places, and objects. And you take your identity, your form, who you are, which is in conflict with what you might have been. Have we got so far? Now, when you sit still, when you sit quietly, now we're coming to the cure. And I know that I believe in Christ and all the rest of it, but here I'm not here speaking about Scripture, because you can appreciate the Scripture after you've listened to me and done this little meditation. After all, in the Scripture it says, be still and know that I'm God. But you see, when you want to know yourself as God, you won't sit still. Because if you sit still, you know you're a dog instead of a God. And you know you're a dog because God is there, letting you know that He's God and you're a dog, if you get the drift. And the conflict between what you are through pressure and your addictions to pressure, you can't live it with it, you can't live without it. See, if you don't have it, you'll realize the truth. And if you do have it, you'll forget the truth, become worse as a result of it, and pretty soon there's the truth again. Pressure. Now this inner pressure, there's an inner pressure and an outer pressure. And your healing will come about if you understand this very simple principle. That is to say, the reason when you sit still you feel antsy and bored is because when you sit still, the pressures that you escaped into and made you what you are and made you forget what you were becoming. Am I too complicated? Okay. They consisted your mortal life, or the ego self. You drew your substance of your existence from interacting with what made you as you are. You reacted more and more and needed more and more excitement to pressure yourself into form and to escape from realizing what this form meant in terms of sin and death. Follow that? Okay. That is the reason why you must sit still, and when you see your mind racing, talking to you, reaching for some excitement, even in fantasy, you have to separate yourself from the service of that, from it servicing your needs. You must separate, and you will become antsy. You'll feel like you want to run out of the room. You feel like you're going to die. You feel like you're going to fall apart. You feel a tremendous internal pressure. Now we've got two pressure systems. One from the outside, react, feel, think, and become. Right? When you give up that which serves the ego, this is what the ego is addicted to, and addicted to escaping from what it's becoming as well. It's addicted to the pressure because the pressure is what it is. It becomes what it responds to. Okay? And it's got to go on responding to become what it responds to, otherwise it wouldn't exist as anything. And on top of that, what's left of the soul will realize what a dog it is. Because if there's no pressure to be caught up in, it sees what it is. It sees that it's a nothing, not a something. Who got that? Okay. Now, there are two pressure systems. One that you fall into through resentment. Love, hate, excitement. Right. Which is not the real you that's come into existence. So when you sit still, the not you starts to feel the pressure of truth, conscience. And it screams in terror. It tries to stop you from sitting still. It wants to make you look for excitement. It starts to introduce doubt, like you're no good, you're a son of a bitch, you're blah, 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 whatever it is. It tells you that God doesn't love you, and it's restless. Separate from it. Pay no. Your heart will start to beat. You'll start to feel fear and panic, like you're going to die. You have to die. You have to die to sin. You have to die to responding. Because responding is the sin nature alive in you and becoming more alive, but alive that leads to death. Who understands that? And great conflict on the way down. Once you realize that you're dealing with a belier, with a betrayer, inside your own mind and outside your own mind, and you don't listen to it anymore, and you know that being still is where somewhere there's a no man's land within the space of beyond the space of your soul. Once you start to realize that you're not going to die, Or even if you do die, who cares, right? What's the use of living like that? You've done that scenario so many times, it never really did help. It only made you worse. Surely you've learned your lesson by now. You'll take your chances this way. Do it. The pressure starts to come from the inside of you. There are two pressures for man. One, the reaction to keep alive what was created through pressures and corruption. When you give up that, and you remember the other pressure wants to come in from the other side to overcome you, to get you to immerse yourself in him and him in you. Follow that? Because when you respond to pressure, the pressure gets into you and you get into the pressure, and that's who you are. But when you start to realize this is not the way to live, but this is the way to die, living it up is living it down. When you finally dawns on you, when the truth inside you catches up and says, be still, let those pressures go. Because you use one pressure to deny the conscience, the pressure of conscience. The conscience is a pressure too. And while we're unwilling to face the truth, we will deny the pressure that will make us, save us from sin. Remember what the conscience does. The conscience is God's saving grace, his Son, see, his Spirit, trying to come into us and to drive out the dark forces, the spirit of darkness and doubt, and give us back the original belief system, to believe in him in us in him. In temptation, it was the same thing. We had the mind of the evil, and the evil we were into it, and it was into us. And pressure kept it alive. And pressure we used to deny coming back to God, to go on being our own God, to be rebellious. See? As long as you're in one pressure, you're made out of that pressure, and you use that pressure to forget, to keep yourself like a gravity, to keep you away from realizing the truth and from serving something greater than yourself, thinking that these pressures and these friends of yours were serving your ego and that you're really a king and a god when you're really a dog. Now you realize you're a dog through those pressures. You must be willing to give up the excitements. The loves of the world make you an enemy of God, the Bible says, right? When you are ready, and not a second before, you can sit still. And when you sit still, you will feel, well, when people take dope, they feel a rush. They feel this excitement whelming up and pulling them in and creating them in the image of it, see? But when you are ready to face the truth and give up your system, your false belief systems, when that moment comes, you can sit still and you can cry, God, save me. See, I cannot save myself. You won't resent your own selfishness. You won't resent your own realization of what you are. You won't resent your helplessness. You won't struggle with it. You will let the Spirit save you. There won't be any emotion. There won't be any temptation to make yourself a better person. See? To believe in yourself. You'll just sit there and abandon. And that, all of a sudden, a strange thing will happen. You'll feel almost like an explosion, a rush of light, energy. You'll feel yourself being caught up in something and lifted almost out of your body, overwhelmed by inner pressure. It's called salvation. So the mind of God it saves you from the mind of, it divorces you from this other system, this other mind. And now you have the mind of God. Now you find yourself disinterested. You see through all the foolishness and the nonsense and the religion and the lies and the insanity and the experts. You see it through all of it. And you see no future in believing in anything except in yourself. And the self is the God self that you've left behind to be the dog self. See, and now the dog self is saved. Hallelujah. Thank you very much for listening.